I'm Jason Klamm, and this is the Comedy on Vinyl podcast.
We are celebrating Bob Newhart's 86th birthday.
Yes, sir.
Bob Newhart will turn 86 years old on September 5th.
Yes, sir.
And you know what? If you're lucky, go catch him. He's still performing, maybe 20, 30 dates a year, but
Yeah.
he is performing around the country. He's still out there. I think he's still working on adding new material.
Which is crazy.
I'll add this personal anecdote. I was at my favorite record store. I have to give them a plug, Record Surplus, Santa Monica and Barrington. And I'm in there, and I look at this guy, I go, "You used to be Bob Newhart." I had to try to get a laugh. He laughs, and we chatted for a minute. And he was looking for CD players. I go, "CD players? You mean you want like Best Buy down the street?" He goes, "No, I'm looking for one of my albums on CD." But he wanted to add, some of the, lesser material or additional material to his act. So he was looking for CDs. So we chatted for a minute. I said to him, "Do you have a dime?" And he laughed, which is a punchline to the great Diffusing the Bomb sketch. And he laughed. And the funny thing is, kids today had no idea who Bob Newhart was. Bob Newhart, albums. And this is at a record store. So I actually say, the guy from The Big Bang Theory? But I will say, I was very happy that some kid bought 2 Bob Newhart records, and he went over and he signed them, and he couldn't have been any
that's
nicer.
good.
He was great.
See, that's and you know what's so crazy? I used to work for a year and a half. I worked next to that record shop.
Yeah.
So I'd obviously go in there every friggin' day.
Right.
Not once did I run into a friggin' Bob Newhart or a this or that. Like, not once did that happen.
I'm trying to think.
I was doing this podcast at the time, but it's just still, it's like, come on.
As opposed to running into Bob Newhart in a bakery.
Yeah, right.
It's funny. I should have bought. I have a bunch of Bob Newhart autographs. So,
Yeah.
But I should have really. I should have spent $3 and got another one.
Right.
Real
Quick, I should at least say who we got here. We're back with Jeff Abraham. Jeff Abraham is back on the show. We're in a room just filled with comedy records.
In a secret location known as the Abraham Comedy Archives.
Yep.
Since our last visit, we've added maybe about 400 records.
Yeah.
All alphabetized.
Uh-huh.
A bunch of rarities. We actually, we sell records every now and then when we acquire them through eBay.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bob Newhart is a very rare record. It was made as a Christmas gift for the Newhart show.
Yes.
And the cover is a parody of Sgt. Pepper. And it was a giveaway to the cast and crew. So, maybe 100 copies.
Oh.
So, I found a copy at Amoeba, another great record store, for $4. I said,
What?
I said, this is worth, I think, more than $4.
Yeah, a little bit. Holy shit.
I did some Googling and eBaying and searching. They said it goes for about $70 plus.
Wow.
I put it online,
Mm-hmm.
and it sold. And I said, and it didn't do anything. It just I think it started at $9.99. Didn't go anywhere.
Oh, come on.
So then I shouldn't tell the story because I know one of the guys who was the underbidder on it. I put it on my Facebook page and said, "Hey, there's a rare Newhart record."
I saw that.
Anyone see that? Apparently it worked. It shot up to $29.
Oh, shit.
Then it shot up to $104.
Oh, goodness. All right, then.
And then by happenstance, through another dealer I knew, happened to acquire another one, which I purchased.
Mm-hmm.
And I contacted the underbidder, who turned out to be a Facebook friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that person who owns that record, shout out to Edie Adams' son, Josh Mills.
Good man.
Now owns this rare record. Very hard to
Son
find.
of a gun. I gotta listen to it at some point. I'll just guilt him into it.
Yeah.
I'll just tell him
it's
listen.
a pretty rare record, so we add things. But Newhart,
So good.
if we're talking about comedy records, you really have to talk about Newhart. When you lay the foundation for comedy records, you had Spike Jones doing novelty music.
Sure.
But, you had Stan Freberg doing John and Marcia.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of spoken word, the first 3, the holy grail of the 3 is Mort Saul,
Mm-hmm.
Shelley Berman,
Mm-hmm.
and Bob Newhart.
Yeah.
Who, believe it or not, all 3 are still with us.
Yeah.
and I'm going to get mixed up on stats, so
and
I'm going to just
impossible
say
to get on podcasts. I'm just going to point that out. I love them all, but impossible.
Well,
to
Mort is living up north in San Francisco near the Throckmorton Theater.
And Shelley,
and Shelley's unfortunately not in the best of health.
And retired.
Right,
like,
retired.
He won't do a thing.
But I think his health, unfortunately. But you know what? He gave us so many great albums.
Of course.
You know what? Just play his albums and we all be happy.
Exactly right.
You know, I'll get mixed up who won the first Grammy, who got the first gold, but I mean those guys are really the beginning of the Mount Rushmore of spoken word albums.
Yeah.
So Bob Newhart signs to Warner Brothers in 1959. So he had been a advertising man, radio DJ, in disc jockey, as they were called, in Chicago. And had made a demo tape, and his friend sent it to Warner Brothers, and they loved it. Mm-hmm. And he said, "This is great. We want to record this at your next gig."
Yeah.
And he said, "I've never played a nightclub before in my act, in my life." So they recorded him down in Texas, and that was the first time Bob Newhart ever did an album.
Insane.
Was he performed live, was really for this album, The Button Down Mind. And he had so little material, you know, there was an encore, people were screaming more, and he goes, "What do you want to hear again?"
Yeah, right.
This is how new Bob Newhart was. And the album was such a hit, it hit, in 1960, the #1 album on the pop chart. Not the comedy chart.
Right.
The pop chart.
Yeah.
That album eventually became the 20th best-selling comedy album of all time.
That is insane.
Then there's a sequel called The Button Down Mind Strikes Again.
Yeah.
At one time, Bob Newhart had the #1 and #2 albums simultaneously on the Billboard charts.
It's crazy.
Not the comedy chart.
Just on the friggin', that's insane.
The last time somebody had that was Guns N' Roses. When they released, Newhart had the best line. He goes, "Hey Bob, did you hear Guns N' Roses took your place? You know, they have an album 1 and 2 on the charts." Mm-hmm. And he goes, "I'm glad it happened to a friend." The great Bob Newhart. The Button Down Mind, 1961 Grammy album for Album of the Year.
Yeah.
Not comedy album, Album of the Year. Beating Sinatra.
So crazy.
Won Best New Artist, while his second album won the Best Comedy Performance of that year.
Yeah.
I mean, the stats are amazing. He really ruled the early 60s. In 1961, he had an NBC variety show. He was on the Dean Martin show, the Ed Sullivan show. So he ruled that period of the early 60s.
You can find a lot of those clips on YouTube if you're...
They're great. Yeah, they're great. The Dean Martin shows are really good. Mm-hmm. And some of the stuff he's doing right off the album.
Yeah.
There's a Judy Garland bit called 12 Days of Christmas, which I don't think is on an album, that routine.
I don't think I've ever heard it, no.
What we're doing today is doing Bob Newhart, the B-sides, because Warner's Rhino did an anthology called the Bob Newhart Anthology, and it has 24 cuts of, I would say, really the best 24 cuts. It's about 2 cuts that, really? You forgot those 2? And the other ones are taken from his last 2 albums, The Windmills, which was recorded at the Ice House. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you that right title. Hold on.
Some wonderful albums at the Ice House.
The Windmills Are Weakening, which was released in 1965 and recorded at the Ice House in Pasadena.
It's so good.
And the last album is called This Is It, aptly titled, 1967. And they're not the classic. I mean, the first 3 albums, almost every track from the anthology are taken from those albums.
Yeah.
But these cuts are really good, and the omissions are. It's kind of surprising how they missed a couple of routines. One of the routines that was missing from the earlier albums is the invention of baseball, which is so surprising. Newhart was famous for, was the greatest comedy team in the world. You think about it; these one-sided conversations. He worked very much in the great tradition of Bob and Ray, who I know he loved. And these one-sided conversations he would do, and some of them were with, historical figures,
Sure.
Abraham Lincoln. And one of my favorite routines, which is not on the Bob Newhart anthology, very surprising, is Nobody Will Ever Play Baseball.
Yeah. Which
is from Bob Newhart, The Button Down Mind. Mm-hmm. And it's the invention of baseball. It's a conversation with Abner Doubleday.
Right.
Which It's literally, I think it's one of my favorite routines, and how someone could not include that on a anthology is criminal. So enjoy. Nobody will ever play baseball.
But below the shoulders. Yeah. No, go ahead. I'm listening. Yeah. It's a strike. 3 strikes and you're out, and 3 balls. Not 3 balls, 4 balls. Why 4 balls, Mr. Double? Nobody's ever asked you before. Or he may hit it. If he hits it, what happens? He runs as far as he can before somebody catches it. As long as it stays what? As long as it stays fair. And what's fair, Mr. Double? You've got these 2 white lines? Is this a rib? Is this one of the guys in the office? Who is it? Mr. Double A, that's the most complicated game I've ever heard in my life.
And I like, too, that, I mean, it's funny because I think we might have talked about this on a previous podcast because we've actually done a lot of Newhart just randomly lately. It's just how a lot of his tracks are, they work on this kind of basic format. Here's a thing that we take for granted that he pitches as though somebody's hearing it for the first time. And that's not just an experiment in terms of comedy. It's a really good acting experiment to act like you're hearing something for the first time and finding it hilarious.
You're absolutely right.
Such a good actor.
The great thing about Newhart is the audience is actually doing the punchlines for you.
Exactly.
They're filling in their own jokes. I mean, you talk about the act of the pause. Newhart loved Jack Benny, another master of the pause. I mean, these are really acting pieces. I mean, they're truly a work of art to listen to it. And you're right, he does take things we take for granted, whether it be driving school or little simple things, and puts that little twist. He was part of that era of comedians that were known as sick comedians.
Yeah.
Which was he, Freeberg, Shelley Berman, Mort Saul, that group. Who were, that was a generation after the Alan King, the mother-in-law jokes, who were a great generation of comedians, but they were doing something a little different, a little off kilter, a little left of center. And, I mean, Newhart, I just did it so well, and it holds up so well.
Yeah. And there was on occasion, a little darkness, and that was one of the things we talked about with his son, was just that I don't think about enough, is the fact that there are a couple bits they're really there's what album is it on? He talked about the bit about suicide, how you're talking somebody down, which I thought
alleged psychology.
Yes, there you go. Thank you. It's one of my favorite bits, and I don't think I'd heard it before he mentioned it on the show, and then I obviously had to listen to it. Oh God, this is brilliant, just sheer brilliance, and obviously very dark, but in a very cute way. So nobody's going to be offended by that. You couldn't really be offended by anything Bob Newhart's ever done.
No, because he's such a milquetoast, very simple. Right, it's not a screaming type comedian. It's not loud. He's not preaching. Yeah, you're right. He's probably one of the most non-offensive comedians you will ever meet.
Yeah, exactly.
In person as well.
Sure. Is that now when you met him at the record store? Is that the first time you'd ever met him?
I had met him. Oddly enough, some of his best material was written by a guy named Milt Rosen. He wrote some of this stuff when he was doing the Dean Martin shows, and then he eventually put it on albums, and Newhart didn't always credit him.
Yeah, okay.
And then he eventually had to sue, and so the credits now read Newhart Rosen.
Okay.
So I had mentioned, I knew Milt, and he goes, send him my best and all that. But no, we had chatted on a few times, and he was really great. I mean, he's just such a nice guy. It's what you see, what you get. Even the stammer.
Yeah.
Is real. It's not put on. The great story, which I have to say, he was doing, I think, the Bob Newhart show, the one where he played the psychologist, and the taping was running long, and because Bob was talking a little slow, and they go, Bob, can you speed it up? You're going very slow. He goes, I just want to let you know that Stammer bought me a house in Beverly Hills, so you need to follow me. And
He's absolutely right. That is one of the best shows of all time. That is still stands
And
up.
again, because they captured his brilliance. There are many times where he is doing the Bob Newhart of the record. It's not that radical a departure of what he did. In fact, I haven't watched the entire show in a long time in the season, but I bet you if you watch some of the early shows, you will see that they will cut into a scene and he's on the phone with
100% it is.
With a patient, and I think they wanted to give a little ode to what Mr. Seinfeld later did, recording the act.
Yeah.
Bob was doing his act there,
It's so perfect, and in that he's always he's playing this weird, like, when he's on stage, especially when there's these incredulous ones where, like, again, baseball or smoking or cigarettes or tobacco. He's always he's essentially playing the straight man, but the straight man is just being forced into laughter. Like, it just, like, this is like he's just laughing at how ridiculous this guy you can't hear is being. And it's perfect for being, like, the lead on a show where you're a psychologist who has to be this.
With all the crazies.
Yeah.
In fact, once again, you're right, because on the TV show, he is the normal one, surrounded by the patients are all whack jobs, and his next-door neighbor, Bill Daly, is a whack job. So, yes. So, everybody goes, stand-up is modern invention. They forget, Don Adams.
Sure.
Maxwell Smart was an extension of what he did on albums.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Newhart is a perfect example. It does work when done right. Unfortunately, it did not work for Newhart's best friend, oddly enough, Don Rickles, as CPO Sharkey.
Oh, yeah, right.
Which is now out on DVD, so make sure you guys get that. It's supposed to be great. But he, was in there insulting people, and it just didn't work. Maybe it's the kind of thing we want to see once in a while. I don't know, maybe we don't want it in our home every week.
Yeah.
So he tried it. He was doing his act. He had the Puerto Rican guy in the platoon, and the tall guy, and this guy, and the black guy, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
But Newhart, it worked. So several of the cuts we're going to play next are from a 1965 album called The Windmills Are Weakening.
Yes.
In fact, I was doing some Wikipedia or Googling searching, and they said, if you know someone who's into stand-up comedy and loves Bob Newhart, The Windmills Are Weakening is the one CD they probably don't have.
Yeah.
In fact, in the early days, before eBay, if you can remember those early days, kids, that was a very hard album to come by.
Yeah.
I don't think, the pressing certainly wasn't as big as the other one.
Okay.
You go into a used record store, you're going to find a lot of Bob Newhart records just by the fact that they sold a lot, so therefore you're going to find a lot of used copies. But Windmills was a very hard one to come by. So we're going to play a couple of tracks. We're going to play 3 tracks. The first one is Edison's Greatest Invention. Again, Bob loves to take a look at history, and it's just listen. Just listen.
This is the thing on inventions and how it takes like 30, 40 years before an invention is really recognized as being a great invention. It's about Edison. And Edison is very excited about this new invention he's come up with. And he calls all these newspaper people together in this totally dark room. And on a table is a bulb with a filament inside and a cord running out of it. And there's a guy working on a generator over in the corner. And all the newspaper people pile in, and they say, what can this possibly be? And they're all kind of buzzing. And Edison walks in, and he takes the plug, and he plugs it into the generator, and this little bulb begins to glow, and glow, and glow, and glow, and finally it fills the entire room with light. Well, with this, the newspaper people run out. They want to file these stories right away, and Edison says, no, gentlemen, wait a minute, that isn't it. And he walks up to the bulb, and he says, hello?
The next track on from the Windmills Are Weakening album is the Upset Stomach commercial. Commercials are great for parody, and Newhart had a great time with that subject.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a track that is often left off, but truly a great one.
I enjoy taking commercials which bug me and changing the very last line of them and making them come out the way I would like them to end. This is a commercial you've seen many times. You see a guy, the phone rings. He picks up the phone and he says, "Right, Mr. Johnson." "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll be there in about half an hour." "Right, sir. Goodbye." His wife comes in. She says, "What happened?" He says, "They have a big sales meeting. I have to go and close the deal." And me with his upset stomach. I better do something about it, and fast. And the next day, the wife picks up the phone and she says, "John, how'd it go?" "It went great, honey. I was just about to close the deal and I threw up on the guy."
The third track is probably my favorite track from the album, is Superman and the Dry Cleaners. Absurdity at the best.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, the premise in one way is so simple. It's kind of like obvious that, I guess maybe Seinfeld didn't do it years later with his love of Superman.
Right.
But it's just so great. And he walks you through the scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, this odd observer from the outside trying to get his handle on the situation. And it's a great eavesdropping experience. Mm-hmm. So we're going to listen to Superman and the Dry Cleaners.
You're holding Lois Lane, and unless we come up with $1 million by tonight, we'll never see her again. She suggested I contact a Mr. S. Yes, I know what she means. Could I put you on hold for just a minute? I have a bit of a problem. Hello, B&W Cleaners. Look, this is Clark Kent, and the mild-mannered reporter, yes. I'm fine, thank you. Listen, there's been a mix-up on my suits, and I need it. I have to go out on a job right now. I'm sure it's not my suit. Look, I brought it in this morning on one-day service. Now, let me describe my suit to you. The cape is kind of a royal blue with white piping. And the leotards are kind of an off blue. No, they're not my wife's. No, they're mine. I'm not married. What's that supposed to mean?
This is what the internet had to say about Bob Newhart's "This Is It," his final album from 1967. This Bob Newhart CD opens with a track many have probably not heard before, and perhaps ever, known as Prenatal Twins. So here, perhaps for the first time for you Newhart fans, Bob Newhart's Prenatal Twins bit.
Where the hell does this cord go? Do you know where? I don't know, maybe we're electric. I don't know what the hell is. They both asleep? You're sure they're asleep, huh? There we go. She's getting him up, yeah, she's getting him up. She said the baby just moved. Yeah, he's coming over to listen. Yeah. Don't do anything when he comes over, right now? That poor soul's a nervous wreck, you know that one? Boy, you forget the pill one night, it's bingo time, right, huh? Is he going back to sleep now? There we go.
Another track from that album is called Pussycat. It speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm. I've had that one actually told to me as though, in the way that he even says it, it's kind of like this folk legend sort of that as a result of telephone culture, which is interesting. So I want to know where this person heard it first, because they made it sound like they hadn't heard it from Bob Newhart. So I'm wondering, it's old enough that it's been passed around, but the way he tells it is perfect. It's kind of funny too. See, you never know at this period where he's talking about. He's like, well, one of the characters is kind of effeminate, and I'm like, I was waiting for that to pay off. And he's like, no, he just wanted to do a voice. Like it's kind of, like he just wanted to do an effeminate voice, and it was funny. It did work. It wasn't. There's no nothing homophobic about it.
But it's funny you mentioned that because again, the same Google entry said Pussycat is by today's standards very politically incorrect because of Newhart's flaming queen voice effect in the routine about a gay guy calling his brother and asking him to take care of his cat. Mm-hmm. The joke itself is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I think
it's a nice change. It's an odd change for Newhart.
For sure.
But it works.
Mm-hmm. I'm staying at the Astor Hotel, and how's Pussycat now? And the guy says, Pussycat's dead. But Pussycat is dead. Well, it's certainly one way of telling someone their favorite cat has died. If you had any consideration for another person's feelings, you might have made up some kind of story, to sort of prepare me for news like that. And just telling someone their favorite cat has died, I don't know, any story. You could have maybe Pussycat was playing with this ball on the roof and had fallen off the roof and hurt his little leg, and then the next night when I called, you could have explained that, the leg wasn't getting any better. And if it wasn't any better the next night, you're going to take him to see this vet, and then the next night when I called, you could have explained that you took him to see this vet, and the vet gave Pussycat a shot, and Pussycat had the bad reaction to the shot and had passed away very peaceably during the night. At least then I would have been prepared for news like that. But to just tell someone their favorite cat has died doesn't show an awful lot of consideration for another person's feelings. He said, "How's mother, by the way?" And the guy said, "Well, she was playing with this ball on the roof."
The last track is called "Topless Clubs." It's a little dated, the idea of topless clubs. Mm-hmm. But the joke is, investigating a trip to a topless club, which now is no big deal. But back then, it was a big deal. So here we are with the last track from Bob Newhart's This Is It, or at least the last track is selected by us from This Is It, called Topless Clubs.
Yeah, this is a real nice place, Harry. It sure is, yeah. They must have great food here, huh? They do a hell of a luncheon business, don't they, huh? Oh, hi, miss. Don't stare at her, Harry. Just look at the table like I'm doing. Yeah, I'd like a scotch on the rocks. Water will be fine. 7-Up, whatever you have, it doesn't matter. Two 7-Up and water, that'll be fine, yeah. Is she gone? Is she gone? Yeah. Do you believe that, Harry? Did you see that? Oh, she must have been late for work. That's ridiculous.
Something I really like about that track, something that's missing is you can tell there's some facial acting that's going on that the audience is getting that we're not getting at all, and I'm like, shit, I'm missing. I know he can play awkward so well, and that you can tell that's what he's doing, but I really wish I could see that on his face.
Yeah, all of Bob's new albums were recorded live in person, Tahoe and various venues, around the country. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you do sometimes lose a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. But it's so minor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The rest of it is fantastic. There's a little bit of wordplay. And just for the record, this album is recorded in Vegas, I think he says at the beginning, too, which is where he's like, well, it's not that shocking for maybe you guys out here, but et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's just like, he gets people involved so easily. Yeah, like, he just not lulls you, but he's just like, well, I'm a regular guy, so you'll keep listening to me. And
it is the everyman guy.
So perfect.
Yes.
The everyman millionaire. Like, you never care that he's a millionaire. You don't care that this guy's super famous.
Right, just by his dress, his demeanor, his style, his pacing. Right.
Yeah.
He's again not a slick Vegas nightclub comedian.
Right.
You don't think of him.
Sure.
And and he was a very, very successful Vegas headliner, but you think of him coming to your hometown.
Yeah.
Rather than, I'm going to see Bob in Vegas. Even though he was very successful in Vegas for years.
And the funny thing is, you associate more, if you're going to pick between him and his buddy Don Rickles, you think of Don Rickles if you're going to think of somebody who's like sort of adjacent to the Rat Pack. Sorry,
right?
You don't think of Bob, but he was. I mean, he was friends with Frank Sinatra. Like, I mean, it's just he was just as much a part of the side group as Rickles was. But I think it's because Rickles is so coarse, like in his act. Like, I think it's just like that. Of course,
right.
He hangs out with Sinatra. Bob Newhart, no, he wouldn't.
Right. But, going on that point, if you look at YouTube, there are a great number of Bob Newhart, Dean Martin show clips.
Yeah, so good, too.
He was, Dean loved him. I mean, he was a favorite of television in the 60s. So, another track, which is very surprising, again, was not on the anthology, is An Infinite Number of Monkeys.
Yes.
Another favorite. Again, taking a premise which is so obvious. So he took that premise and just went with it.
Yeah.
And it is so great. And I'm kind of surprised that cut is not included on a Bob Newhart anthology. But it does make you want to go out and buy their albums so you can listen to their entirety. So I hope we're doing you guys a favor. So go out and buy Bob Newhart's album, Bob Newhart Strikes Back, for the Infinite Number of Monkeys.
Now, they're going to type a lot of gibberish, but eventually they will type all the great books. Now, if they ever tried this, they would have to hire guys, to check the monkeys to see if they were turning out anything worthwhile. So, I would like to present a day in the life of one of these monitors. Harry, I'm going to check post 14, see if he's got anything. Oh boy. I don't think that poor devil's ever going to write anything, that? Harry, hold on. Post 15 here has something. I think this is famous or something. To be or not to be. That is the Gazornenplatz.
I actually recently picked up, and I don't know if we talked that much about it when Rob Newhart was on the show, but I picked up Bob Newhart Faces, Bob Newhart Faces, Bob Newhart. There's a lot of really good stuff on that. Like, there's not a bad Bob Newhart album out there. I mean, but I'm so shocked he made so many within that 7 or 8 year period, though. That's what's so crazy to me.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when I collect here in the Abraham Comedy Archives, we're surrounded by thousands of albums. And people always say to me, do you listen to all these albums? And the first thing I always say is, there's a long pause ago. No, actually, the first thing they always say to me is, which always cracks me up, do you have a record player? And I go, no. And they look at me and go, of course I have a record player. But then people always say, do you listen to all these albums? And I always say, I do. And the first thing I always say is, oh my God, this is the worst piece of crap, or wow, this is a great treat. And there's certain albums that belong in every comedy record collection.
Yeah.
Like, Red Fox has, say, 38 albums.
Right.
If you have 3, you have the set. Yep. You don't really need all 38.
And they're expensive as shit, usually, to get a hold of.
And I may have 31 of them, and if I get the other 7, I'm fine, but if I can live without those extra 7.
Yeah.
But Newhart had 7 albums. It's like, get all 7. I mean, they're really not a bad album.
Yeah.
because he didn't jump the shark. It's like the Beatles, they had a small, finite number of albums, and they're all great.
Yeah.
It's like the early, also on Warner Brothers, Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
That whole run of Warner Brothers Cosby albums are all classics.
Oh, yeah.
Very few bad cuts. They're all great. So Newhart is one of those guys, he's an important addition to your library. Get the whole thing. You will not be disappointed.
Absolutely.
We did talk about Bob Newhart Faces Bob Newhart.
Yeah.
And we're going to play a cut from that album called Amateur Show Contestant. Which, again, it's so obvious. Mm-hmm. Why didn't somebody else think of that?
Right.
Good evening, sir. I won the regional finals of the amateur in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and the people there had this had this big telethon there for me, and they got my bus fare here to to New York and back to Latrobe. And for those people that more or less opened up their hearts for me, I'd like to do for you now the 12 days of Christmas. Yeah, that means start it when I move my head like. Okay. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 5 swans a swimming, four golden rings, three turtle, three turtle doves.
Another Newhart album is called Behind the Button-Down Mind.
Yes.
But I think on the first album they said the greatest since Attila the Hun.
Yeah.
But here from Behind the Button-Down Mind is Herb Philbrick, the counter spy. And, this is the era of Man from U.N.C.L.E., James Bond. Mm-hmm. So he's in keeping with that.
I wanted to tell you about a show which was on. It was, I Led 3 Lives. That Herb Philbrick thing where he used to talk to himself under his breath all the time. And no one seemed to notice it. And anyway, they had about 39 episodes a year of this show. And it was on 3 years that I know of, which would have been 127 episodes. No, 117 episodes. That's one reason I'm no longer an accountant. Over 100 episodes they had of the show. I had one doubt about the show. I felt it lacked a certain realism. I felt in one of the episodes they should have showed a communist cell meeting. And one of the comrades should have stood up and said, say, has anyone else ever noticed whenever we assign Philbrick to anything, we all get arrested?
There's one, we're doing a little cheat here today, because there's a Bob Newhart routine, which I think is hilarious, in keeping with many of his other routines, the one-sided conversations, is the air traffic controller.
Yes.
Which is not on a Bob Newhart album, to the best of my knowledge. This is from the Smothers Brothers show, which I'm guessing is probably 1968.
Yeah.
So this is a special treat. It's on YouTube, but why it's not on a Bob Newhart album, I guess, because he had stopped doing albums by 1967.
Sure.
So this is called Bob Newhart. This is Bob Newhart's The Air Traffic Controller, as heard on the Smothers Brothers show.
Okay, all right, United 209. Yeah, we have radar contact. You're looking very good. Pan American 715. You haven't seen United 209 up there anywhere, have you? It's a big plane. It's one of those 4-engine jobs. It's got United on the side. You can't miss it. Well, if you see him, would you tell him to call in? Yeah. 715, we're pretty jammed up here. I'm going to have to put you in the holding pattern. How's your visibility? Yeah, look off to your left about 3 miles over San Bernardino. Yeah, do you see all the planes? Yeah, just take a place anywhere there you can find some. We'll call you back as soon as we have an opening. No, don't call us. We'll call you. Okay, you guys on the ground. Who wants to go up? Wait a minute. Not all at once, guys. Which one of you guys have ever been up before?
All right, our final track is a rarity. It's we have gone into the depths of the Abraham Comedy Archives today, and we are pulling out a rare, one-of-a-kind acetate of Bob Newhart doing Paul Revere. I saw this. I said, it's an acetate, I'll get it. It could be a nice novelty. Pulled out all my Newhart albums. It was not on it. So this is truly a one-of-a-kind item. The only thing it said, Paul Revere from Age of Change, which could be a TV special or industrial film, 1965. That's all we know. But we also know it's never been recorded, never been heard before. So this is a comedy on vinyl debut, exclusive, right here, Bob Newhart's Paul Revere routine.
A blacksmith shop in revolutionary times where Paul Revere might one day have brought his horse in. Hi, Mr. Revere. Yeah, bringing your horse in for a checkup, huh? Gonna be going on a long trip? Yeah, it's always a good idea to have him checked out before you take a long trip. Well, let's put her up on the lift. Take a look at the loop ticket on her. See if we can find out the last time she was serviced. No, I mean by one of us. You want to get down here on the creeper with me? See, you haven't been rotating her shoes, You see how the front pair there are wearing unevenly? Yeah, really ought to get her feet aligned. Well, what you actually need are new shoes, No, won't take long at all. Just throw her on the NSC shoe changer over there. No, it doesn't have to be expensive. It depends on what you want to pay. Well, there's an inexpensive set over there, $3 a shoe. Why don't you take a look at them? They're what? They look like they're nailed to the floor. Huh. I would do a nutty thing like that. Here's a premium pair over here. Run you a little more. Well, see, you can see the shoe inside the shoe. That's in case she picks up a nail, she won't swerve, Keep right on going straight. Your wife gonna ride her much? She is, huh? Well, you know what they say. Should a woman have to worry about shoes? No, that's all we got. Just the premium set and the pair that's nailed. The inexpensive set. Humpeldinkers? You never heard of them, huh? Yeah, they're a good shoe. Did I notice what? A light in the church tower just then? No, I don't think so. Mr. Revere, you know that Ben Franklin pretty well, don't you? Yeah, the one with the square glasses. Listen, is he all right upstairs? No reason. Next time we have a thunderstorm, watch him. Hey, you're right. I did see a light in the church tower. One or two lights? Gee, I really didn't notice, Mr. Revere. Get her off the lift? Okay, Mr. Revere. I wouldn't ride her too far with those shoes like that, Mr. Revere. Mr. Revere, I wouldn't ride her too far with those shoes like that.
Comedy on Vinyl is a production of Stolen Dress Entertainment. It is produced by Mike Warden and is hosted and edited by Jason Klamm. Our theme song was composed and performed by Richard Levinson. Please visit stolendress.com to listen to our other podcasts, read our blogs, read our tweets, watch our videos, and read our books. Please subscribe on iTunes, and if you like us, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. You can find us on Facebook.com/ComedyOnVinyl, Twitter @ComedyOnVinyl, and find everything else at ComedyOnVinyl.com.